I don't feel like doing a pick a card reading today, so we're not gonna. We're gonna do just a general reading and see what wants to come through. There is an aggressive energy here that I've been picking up on coming into this reading. So something about anger, frustration, aggression, manipulation, time spent, time wasted, anger at that, feeling manipulated, feeling strung out or drawn out. Tornadoes imagery I'm being shown, fire I'm being shown, symbolically this ferocity or this chaotic type of vibration is what I'm picking up on initially. And I have also been shown, oh, okay, one card fell on the floor. Whenever anything slides off the table, it's extra significant. So let me pick that up. Yeah, there. Okay, the Five of Wands. That's what I thought. It's this conflict, it's competition, it's aggression, it's this intensity, fire, anger, and maybe even being turned to stone, fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses like nervous system dysregulation. I don't know if this is something going on collectively, or this applies to you personally, or this is someone in your environment. Whatever the case is, it's an energy imprint that's here that wants to be talked about and dealt with. Now, what I was just about to say before that fell on the floor was that I've also been shown imagery of mountains and molehills. So it feels like something that may seem insurmountable, may be actually a smaller problem than you think, or you could be creating a mountain out of a molehill because of the level of frustration that's kind of simmering under the surface. And I'm also hearing stirring the pot. So there could be people, I'm going to use this in place of a significator. So this will sit over here like my significator usually would. So this is kind of the general theme of the energy. And I feel like this stirring of the pot, or this intense vibration that's quite conflictual, if that's even a word, it's going in the opposite direction of peace. And so it's hard to find peace in that experience or in the moment of that. Okay, let's start looking at some cards here. Princess of Swords. Something about a false hope and the manipulation of that, like feeling, again, strung out or strung along in some way, and the conflict that arises from that tension. I don't know why I laid these out up top and haven't pulled them over yet or turned them over. I feel like we have to wait on that. I just don't get the sense that I want to look at those yet. So let's just pull a second row. Yeah, something about time and time wasting and time placements. Death. Okay, I just heard the exposing of the real, raw truth. And then I just heard the word invictus, which I don't even know what that means. Invictus? Like inviting something, or... yeah, I'm not sure. Ten of Cups. Okay, I heard a game that's played, perhaps concerning peace, stability, security, concepts of togetherness. There's something about this fight and flight energy that I'm still picking up on, and I'm trying to figure out what the context is. There may be an issue in the home or in the family or within relationships that the truth is being exposed in some way, and the heart is being kind of like ripped open so that you can look at something difficult and go through this death process, but it may feel completely insurmountable or overwhelming, or you're unsure of what to do with all of the emotions that are being evoked from within this experience. Prince of Swords. Communication seems to be highlighted. We've got the Page of Swords and the Prince of Swords. So it does, or sorry, Princess of Swords and Prince of Swords. I'm hearing two-way street. Two-way street. So communication is a two-way street. It takes two to tangle. It takes two to battle. But a battle between two can become exacerbated by a battle within the self. In two minds about something, divided, and seeing things in a distorted way because of that, possibly even black and white thinking, or something about splitter technology I just heard. It's like division is kind of the sense I'm getting, separateness, and the frustration that is coming from that in the inability perhaps to communicate what the experience is and what the desire is and what the truth is, or even understanding that truth and then finding a solution. Because that mountain into molehill symbolism that they're showing me feels kind of like, how do I tackle the problem? And I feel like the solution is in the problem itself. It's not something outside of it, but symptomatically, the experience that's being had is maybe not even directly, it's more so indirectly connected to the cause or to the root issue. And so I think that that's why this root issue had to be exposed, because it's like you couldn't really understand what was causing it in the first place, because people maybe, for example, expressing that this is how they feel about this issue, but like that's not the issue. It's kind of reminding me of how, let's say, for example, you're in a relationship with someone and you've been together for a while and you have certain things that kind of slide by that may aggravate you, but you don't say anything. And then it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And then finally it spouts out, or this huge fight breaks down everything and it all comes spilling out at once. And it feels completely insurmountable because each step of that experience was not addressed or dealt with in the moment. And instead it was backlogged and then it avalanched out, or it overspilled. I'm also hearing overfilled. So emotionally erupting, coming to that boiling point, and the internal chaos and the experience of that, needing an outlet in a healthy way, but having a hard time deciphering how to do that, how to relay the information, communicate it effectively, or even what's causing it, the disturbance in the first place within the self. Okay. The Hanged Man in reverse, and I heard needing to take action, but again, it's like, how do you do that in a constructive and less destructive way when the experience is so haphazard or chaotic, or there's so much frustration and no real sense of where it's coming from or where it needs to go? So this Hanged Man may be actually inviting you to pause, to take a beat, to slow down and to allow yourself to feel what's going on here, to reveal what was concealed. I just heard to reveal what was concealed. This death process has been going on collectively and individually, and it will show up differently in each person's life. But in your life, it feels like this is something that's being exposed from within you. And it is a painful process, and it's bringing up a lot of tension or emotion with it, but for good reason. The reason may not be revealed yet, but it is for good reason nonetheless, because the problem being dealt with here is going to shrink that mountain back into its original state of the molehill, but it needs to be first exposed. It needs to be shown or seen that it's there. And so I think the Hanged Man here is, yes, it's saying action, but it's in being able to understand what that action needs to be, not getting caught in possibility paralysis or holding back, but maybe taking an action that feels like it's coming from a place of alignment and not just reacting. You know what I mean? It's an intentional action rather than a reaction. Queen of Discs. Yeah, getting grounded, taking a moment, sitting in peace, being connected to the self for a second, getting reconnected to that sense of security. That's really, really going to help in addressing whatever this issue is or this energy. For some of you, this isn't even going to be a situation in your life that you're dealing with contextually. It's just going to be something that's inside of you. It's just a sense or a feeling, especially if you're particularly sensitive. So don't hold back those emotions. I feel like there's this barrier that is creating the tension, or this feeling of needing to hold everything at bay that's actually making things more difficult and seem worse than they are. So it's not saying take your time as in let it stew some more, or let that pot continue to boil until it evaporates out and there's nothing left. Then it's not useful anymore. It feels like there's something that will come from this. The action that this is actually meant to catalyze or to spur is powerful and transformational. It's part of this death process, this catalyst for this massive change. And I'm hearing the word empowerment. So it's an empowering change. However, to make that happen, it needs to be done right. It needs to be done with intention, not flagrantly, not reactively, not impulsively. because all that will do is lead to more tension. But it's difficult, when you start to break down those walls, or whatever has been held back starts to bust out of the doorway there inside yourself. It's difficult to just take a second and think it through. It's difficult to say, okay, this is not necessarily my reality. It's my experience in the moment. It's true that this is what I'm feeling, but it doesn't necessarily have to be acted on aggressively. This aggression energy doesn't have to be acted on or projected out aggressively. I can handle what I'm feeling by acknowledging it within myself and then coming to the other person, if there is another person involved here. And I'm hearing coming to grips with it, and have a conversation, have an actual conversation, not a talk at, not a battle, a conversation. And a conversation is a two-way street. It takes two who are in rhythm with another and in tune, feeling the movement of the other and the movement of the conversation itself, and towards an end goal of resolution or understanding from that. And I think understanding is part of the resolution here. So it needs to come up, it needs to come out. This leads to healing, the star card. This leads to healing. This creates hope. This creates vision. I'm hearing vision for the future, a new vision or scope of vision that is clearer, that's not as clouded by doubt, by fear, by hopelessness, by this repressed rage or anger, or even that simmering frustration below the surface. Resentment that comes from unacknowledged needs, unset boundaries, unreciprocated actions, and fear-based living. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the top row, the Magician on the bottom. Making a change. I'm hearing the word durable. Interesting. Durable. What is durable? Okay, Spirit just said the conflict has made you resilient. The conflict has made you resilient. Manifesting a change, they're saying. Yeah, and they're showing me the Death card and the Magician here being connected energetically. It's like there's a cord going from these two. Now, you want to be careful with any intense emotion, especially on that lower end of the vibrational spectrum. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's denser and it's more material, and therefore working with it is going to be, can sometimes be tricky or sticky, which is maybe why this was avoided in the first place, or resisted, or why there's friction there. And I'm hearing the word inevitability, and the inevitability of needing to deal with it, because if it has that sense of mass, or it is heavy in that way, it's just going to build up. It's going to compound on itself until it can't anymore, and it has to go somewhere. So it feels like there's a process of transmutation that needs to take place here with this experience, with this emotion, with this energy itself inside the being, to allow it to catalyze this growth, this change. But growth is often uncomfortable. It's like when your bones start to grow, you get growing pains. This is kind of what it feels like. And if this is a relationship, it's like this relationship is going through growing pains. And I'm hearing forced honesty. It's like the universe is kind of pushing you. I'm seeing like two people being pushed together by the hands of the divine to, like, you need to talk about this, or you need to settle this, or you need to come to some kind of an agreement or understanding here. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to simmer and sit. And I'm hearing sitting in the hot seat. You may be putting someone else in the hot seat, or they're doing it to you. Either way, it's, I'm hearing the word agreement. So maybe even there's a contract here, because they were showing me this line of energy going from the Magician to Death. And it's like, there's an agreement, there's an entanglement, there's, I don't want to say attachment. I'm hesitant to use that word, but maybe that's what created the resistance in the first place. And it needs to be addressed. It's like it's part of the agreement to address that. Okay, let's go ahead up here. King of Wands. Okay, I'm seeing, they said manifestation king. I'm hearing making a way. They've been saying that a lot lately. Making a way forward. Being able to see a pathway. I'm seeing the lighting of a torch. It's like the illumination. And being able to control that fire source. Fire in the light sense can be inspiration and the drive or motivation to take inspired action. In the lower sense, it can be anger and aggression. Competition can drive innovation, or it can drive people apart and into separation and degradation. So we have to be careful with how we use energy, because any energy has both a light side and a dark side. And I'm seeing this King of Wands kind of presenting you with an option here. How are you going to use this energy? It's really up to you, because it could go either way. Not to, again, split into that black or white thinking, or to get into some kind of a negative mindset about it. But it's like, it's an option, and you have free will, and you always have free will, and there's a choice here to be made. There's a choice in how you want to express, the steps that you want to take, and how you're going to resolve whatever this issue is. And I just heard the word partner. So for some of you, this is going to be in a partnership with someone. And I'm seeing a handshake. They're showing me like this. So again, some kind of an agreement either led to this or is meant to come out of this. And communication is a big sort of point of tension here, but it's also part of the solution. So it's like, if the communication is the problem, it's also the solution. It's just, you've kind of got to find a way to turn it on its head, to use it for you rather than against you. Okay. Let's see. Judgment. Okay, right when I turned it over, I heard, I am not afraid. I am not afraid. So this feels like facing the fear. And then they just said flagrant disregard. And then they, okay, now they're saying something about flagellation, and they're showing me that fire again. I'm hearing the word penitence, judgment, not afraid to come clean about something, not afraid to atone. I heard the word contrition in my head when I woke up this morning. And then I looked it up because I wasn't 100% sure on the definition or how to use it in a sentence. And it basically means to atone for something or to feel guilty about something and want to make amends. So there is something here where you and this other person, if there is another person involved, need to be aware perhaps of this tendency to, actually, let me rephrase this. This need to hold yourself and other people accountable, while at the same time not judging, not leaping to, or I'm hearing bounding to conclusions, and allowing other people the benefit of the doubt while at the same time acknowledging what you feel. And I'm hearing what has been riled up within you, and they're showing me snakes in a bag, all riled up, okay? Yeah. The riling up of these emotions. And I'm hearing, and the projections of the truth. Interesting phrasing, Spirit. The projections of the truth. What do you mean by that? They said what the truth is showing you, and they're showing me an old school projector, you know, that we used to use in like the 90s, 2000s in schools, where you turn it on, you put something on top of it there, and then there's the light that shines that projection up onto the screen. You have to pull down that screen so that you have a clean, blank surface to be able to observe what is being shown. And it's for the purpose of teaching in the context that Spirit is showing me this image or this symbol. So it feels like the projection of this truth onto this sort of open environment, or this blank arena where you can look at it perhaps even a little bit, I'm hearing less obsessively, okay? So maybe there was some mental overthinking involved in this, or they're showing me somebody jumping down a rabbit hole, going too deep into something that maybe was not that deep. Again, they're showing me again the mountain and the molehill. And they're showing me that molehill kind of like it turned into the mountain because you went down the rabbit hole. Rabbit holes are not always a bad thing, but again, it's like we have to use discernment. What is backing that energy or that emotion and the drive to explore it to the ends of the earth? Okay. So I am not afraid. King of Wands, courage, bravery to face whatever this is that's being brought up, or this catalyst for change, or this awakening to the truth, or this reassessment of what was buried. not with fear of penitence or atonement or self-flagellation or guilt, but with a humility that says, I'm part of the problem and I'm also part of the solution, and so is this other person, if it is showing up externally. And in this way, we can come together, whether it's me coming together with myself or me coming together with you, and being able to have a conversation that holds truth in it, so much so that the resolution is revealed. It's revealed. Again, they're saying what was concealed is revealed. They repeated that again. 4 of Swords. Okay, so peaceful time to reflect is key. It is so crucial. It's very important here, because as these emotions arise, or as they're riled up collectively or individually or through this situation, whatever we're talking about here, it's difficult to kind of piece it apart and see where it's coming from. So I'm hearing sleep on it. It's like you need some time to not let it stew. You don't want to ruminate, but you do want to let it rest. They're showing me a steak after it's been grilled. You got to let it rest so that the juices can kind of like reintegrate back into the meat. So there's something here about letting yourself rest or be in this state of peace despite, or perhaps in intentional direct contradiction to that experience of internal aggression and the riling up of whatever this emotional state has brought forth. 5 of Swords. I kind of had a feeling this would show up. 5 of Wands and 5 of Swords. These are the 2 conflict type of cards in the deck that we're hesitant to want to work with or play with in energetic terms, but they're important. They're important because they teach us how to see the opportunity to connect in conflict during times of change. And this eye here feels like a change in perspective, and the swords themselves, the suit of swords, can represent communication and truth and perspective. So I'm feeling like this shift in awareness is coming true. I'm just hearing, hold on, what do you mean? This shift in awareness is coming true? And they're showing me this one sword going straight through the pupil. So it's like they're showing me a dilated pupil now. A dilated pupil. Well, what would happen? The iris or the muscle relaxes to let in more light. They're showing me the projector casting more light so you can see more clearly. But the pupil also dilates in 2 other stages. I feel like it's connected to this message of fight or flight, like the nervous system's response. It feels like there's an attack mode that is activated, and the pupil dilates to let in more light so that we can see what we need to do in that response to an attack or to be on the offense. But on the other hand, I'm also being shown that the pupil will dilate when we look at someone we love, because we want to see them more clearly, or because it's releasing those emotions of contentment. So again, it's like same thing, different cause. So there's a real need to differentiate, to discern. And I think this is part of the rest and reset, digest, come back into that state of homeostasis. I'm hearing plausible, the word plausible, and they're saying the word window as well, plausible window. Maybe this is even talking about the window of tolerance, when your nervous system is not dysregulated and you're content, you feel safe. Come back to that state before taking any action at all. That's what's going to help with the clarity here. 3 of Cups. Spirit said something about a community reorganization, and I'm not sure what they mean here. They're just kind of drawing my attention to how there's different groups of people at this party and how they might be doing different things, like they're all having different conversations with different intention. And okay, they just said the din of the room, and they've put me in like this room now, clairvoyantly, where I'm seeing there's people up against the wall. It's sort of smoky, but it's got low light. It doesn't feel threatening. It kind of feels hazy, but in not a bad way. It's like sleepy almost, actually. But there's people talking. It feels like being at a party late at night, and it's comforting And I'm not really sure what this is talking about. Maybe, okay, hold on. Spirit just said it's a way to reaccess something. What do you mean? To reaccess what? Go into the deck. Okay, thank you. The coffee cup deck. Oh, card stuck to the bottom. Candle, you will be shown the way. That's what they were showing me with the torch being lit. It's like it gives off or sheds that light in a constructive manner where you can see what the projection is showing you or what the truth is showing you and the direction it's leading you in. Something about what you're called to house. I just heard what you're called to house. And they're showing me a candle in a door frame. But I'm still kind of confused over this message about, okay, I just heard dorm room. Something about students, lot, hidden gem, and the pearl. There's something being unlocked from the past. Like a comfort zone is being expanded upon, and the discomfort at that growth is painful. And there's something about it that wants to be seen. And they're saying the word partner again. So there's something about it that wants to be seen, and perhaps it comes up in context of partnership. Okay, we have luck and money with coins. Envelope, unfolding surprise. They're just showing me a two-way street, and they're showing me communication going back and forth. And both of these energies are messengers, students as well. So there's definitely a theme here about learning, because they mentioned the projector in the dorm room, which are, I'm hearing classification. Yeah, it's like a classroom setting so that you can learn something, information here. And it's valuable. It's so valuable. It's so worth exploring, because I feel like in this context, there's room for connection so much deep, and the depth of connection getting stronger as the things done in the dark come to light or are discussed or communicated or expressed, and the motivations behind them explored and understood from both sides. So it's not a bad thing, but it's uncomfortable in the process of the revelation that it brings. Horse, freedom and action. Freedom and action. Okay, Spirit just said the action of intent. The action of intent. Now, I never really thought about action as an intent. Or intent as an action, should I say. Intent as an action. But the way they just said it to me, and the vibe that I'm getting from it, like the sense or the feeling, it's like having an intention, even just stored in your own mind without actually taking physical action toward it, is part of the action itself. And in some cases, it may come instantaneously. It may be sort of like an instinct or an impulse, but with this other message here of contemplation, I feel more of an insistence in the message of taking your time to assess something here. Because in that assessment or reassessment, you're giving yourself the open terrain and the space within you to explore the truth, or to reveal it to yourself, or to speak on it, which is partially revealing it to yourself and partially revealing it to someone else. Because if you've been unwilling or unable to communicate it outwardly, there's probably been a repression or a denial of it inwardly. And so I feel this sense of freedom from the horse here, really speaking about not the action of talking itself or of doing something different, but actually of forming a new intention because of a shift in awareness. But awareness without action, or awareness that does not lead to action, causes more frustration. And I'm hearing the word regret. Regret. I'm hearing being put on notice, being put on notice. Maybe you're putting someone else on notice here. Or perhaps they're putting you on notice, or Spirit's putting you on notice for the awareness of this and the necessary outcome, because it feels like awareness, new perspective, new intention, and then action. But it doesn't all happen in the same moment. It's kind of like there's a process to that. Whale, wisdom keeper. There's a lot of wisdom. There's a hidden pearl of wisdom here. If you're willing to accept it, if you're willing to take a look, if you're willing to see it. And if you are so willing to see it, maybe it's a perspective of someone else that angers you, or perspective of the world, or just looking at your own emotions in this case. If you're willing to see it, you'll be shown, because you'll be shown the way. But I feel like the resistance to even wanting to look at it was, it's like Medusa. You don't want to look her in the eyes because she'll turn you to stone. And I think this is a representation of like looking that fear in the eyes and then responding in that freeze response, like shutting down. And in this case, that's not helpful. That doesn't solve the root of the issue or address the complications of this problem. Wow, I'm getting huge pitch changes in my right ear. There was one and then there's just another one hitting me, and it's like coming in waves, and I like almost can't hear out of that ear right now as this frequency is shifting. So there's divine downloads that are accessible to you here. There's wisdom in your bones as those bones are growing. But it takes a toll, not one that you're unwilling to pay, because the only toll here in accessing the truth is being willing to endure the disturbance that creates. Having the courage and to not be afraid in the face of that necessary change, because the truth will ultimately set you free. It always will. But it might first make you uncomfortable. Okay, fish, abundance, and luck. Now look, you have luck here twice. Fish, abundance, luck, representing prosperity. You've got this luck and money card with the coins representing prosperity. And you've got this 10 of cups, which is such a beautiful scene to be set here. And I think that all things considered, it's completely accessible. It is completely within your grasp, within your reach. It lives within you. It's already housed within you. It's just a matter of not putting things aside that need to be dealt with so that the peace is not disturbed in the pursuit of that peace. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like by trying to maintain a semblance of peace or a facade of peace, it's really easy to get into inner conflict with ourselves. It's like sometimes we do need to pick our battles, and that's true. But sometimes if we pick those battles too often and too many times, then we lose sight of why those battles matter to us in the first place and what conclusions they could lead us to in their outcomes. Yeah, I don't even know where I want to put this. I feel like it belongs here between the Death card and the 10 of Cups. A finalization. Old woman, sadness, and female. I'm hearing freedom to pursue. And it's never too late. It's never too late to pursue that true sense of satisfaction, that internal peace, and the connection, and even a sense of community that comes from that. On the bottom, we have rabbit, pregnancy, and fears. It's like, don't follow those fears down the rabbit hole. Don't shy away from fear, but again, this is such a nuanced message, because there are times where you will need to go down the rabbit hole. You will need to explore these things, and it's necessary and healthy to do so. But there's other times where the fear is not necessarily the light of the truth shining, and it's instead you go down that shadow into the rabbit hole and you get lost in there and you lose your way. So there's a very heavy message here about discernment. Okay. Discernment. And I feel like being grounded, not just grounded in your body with a safe sense of self, but grounded in a sense of security within the relationships around you that is going to help to support this. Maybe it's family, maybe it's friends, maybe it's soul family or found family. Maybe it's a relationship that's really, really important or crucial to you. I feel like this sense of grounding is being able to be vulnerable, being able to open up, being able to communicate without a need to portray a certain without a need to put some things on the back burner while other things are allowed to be discussed because this is acceptable and that is not. So we put that on the back burner and we talk about this now. It's like in true safe connections, there should be nothing that is denied. Everything should be allowed and accepted because that's a truly safe space. And that goes for within ourselves as well. And we're all still just learning and remembering how to do that. Okay. Anything else you want to say? Yes, they do. Okay. A couple more things here. What else do we need to know? Dolphin, financial gain usually coming from something you did in the past. I don't know how the finances are connected to this, but somehow it's they're saying it's connected to freedom. Finances. Yeah, there's something to do with luck and money here that was hidden from you, possibly because the frustration was blocking you from seeing it. And I'm seeing a wall of frustration, and then what's behind that wall of frustration is actually sadness. And then it leads to that sense of desperation. And that, they're bringing me back to the message that we started with like this feeling of being manipulated or manipulation. Fair man dealings or relationship with a man with blonde, gray, or white hair. I heard a wise man might look another way. And when they said that, it kind of made me think of how it's sitting here. I was called to put it next to the Hanged Man and the Wisdom Keeper. And it's kind of like you might not expect a wise man to look physically in appearance the way that this person looks, or the way this wisdom presents itself might not look like wisdom on the surface, but it is. And it also made me think of a wise man might look another way, meaning if his gaze has been fixed in one direction and he's not seeing a clear solution or an outcome that is, weirdly, I'm hearing the word enviable, an outcome that is enviable or an outcome that is desired perhaps, then he, in his infinite wisdom, is able to say, well, then I'm going to look in a different direction. I'm going to shift that perspective, which is what that Hanged Man talks about too. I just heard don't need to worry. Don't need to worry. Okay. Oh, look at that. Fan, romance, celebration, and party. That's what they were showing me. It is literally a party depicted here in that Three of Cups, but they showed me the imagery of that sort of smoky, hazy room, which felt kind of jazzy, like a jazz club, but in someone's house. And it felt like a party, and it felt like kind of the place to be, you know? I don't know how that's connected to the message. It may be, it may not be, but it's here for a reason. Okay, we have cat, and it's landed firmly upside down. A two-faced friend. Okay. I'm hearing a reversal of roles, and they're showing me the wise man again looking in either direction. It's like being able to see from both perspectives, perhaps. Or this truth being revealed makes you have to confront the fact that somebody who said that they were what they, or who said they were something, and then you realize they're not that, but not, okay, you know what the message is that's coming through here? It's like not demonizing that person. It's being able to understand maybe their hidden motivations, not to empathize and to forgive them instantaneously, but to kind of provide a solution to yourself in the releasing of some kind of regret here. I don't know what this is talking about per se, but that's what's coming through. And I want to leave the cat reversed here because it feels like there's a hidden gem in this realization. Whether that's someone or something that you epitomized as a bad friend or a bad partner or bad this or that, it may be more nuanced than you thought. And exposing those parts of yourself to yourself allows you to understand and let go of something here and to rise above it, not because you're better than it, but because you understand it. Okay, one more thing. Let's get some astro dice here. Okay. We have the North Node. Yes, North Node in Taurus in the 4th house. So to do with home, family, relationships, security. Interestingly, I'm hearing sense of self, but it's like sense of self-worth or sense of self-security even. And this North Node is indicating, again, this change or these growing pains, because the North Node is our destiny and it's what we are intending to become in this lifetime. And so it kind of calls us into bigger landscapes where we have to explore deeper things, or where we have to become someone that maybe we feared becoming because of the resistance to what that actually meant we would have to do. But I do sense a feeling of stability or security that is promised here. And I'm not using that word lightly, like I didn't want to say it, but it feels like the truth in the context of this reading and the way the energy is coming through. It's like there is a sense of security that's promised here. I'm hearing the promised land, and they're showing me that 10 of Cups. It's like the future can be a friend. But there's a need to dig deeper into where conflict has arisen and why. The foundations of success are built on connection and togetherness, and this starts with the foundation of the self. Okay, anything else you want to say, Spirit, before we close the energy of the reading? They said peaceful prosperity. Peace will bring prosperity. Inner peace. And they're saying reclaim the self. Reclaim the self. Know your worth. Speak your truth. Ground yourself. Get grounded. They're showing me a glue bottle, like white glue, something about glue, togetherness, or something sticky, or putting something together, fixing something. I'm not sure what the context of the glue is. They're just showing me like a bottle of white glue. Maybe it's even the glue that holds a network of friends together or a family together, endings and beginnings, or that the ending is connected to the beginning and vice versa. But it does feel like repair of some kind, repair. Oh, and that made me think of reparenting. Reparenting. Or a pair of people. Even 2 insights, a pair of insights that help to reduce the conflict and the fear that's driving it. Okay? I think that's everything. I'm hearing 1, 2, 3, 4. Out the door, out the door. 1, 2, 3, 4, out the door, out the door. And they're showing me somebody rushing into action after a period of rest. So it's like taking that time to contemplate and then being like, okay, I know what to do, and going and doing it. They're saying purposeful pursuit, outcome to actions, cause and effect, contribution, kingship or kinship. I can't tell what they said, kingship or kinship. They're just pointing me to the fair man, so they're not really giving me context. Kinship, kingship. Connection and continuity. Continuity, seeing the small details, but not overlooking the bigger picture. Purposeful pursuit, purposeful pursuit. Something about a promenade or promenade. Oh, right. It takes two to tango. Dancing, promenade. Toasting, a celebration. And then I just heard a last dance to soothing music. Calming the nervous system down is what it feels like. And I'm feeling the energy grounding out through my body as I speak. And I'm hearing the word resilience again. And I'm hearing placed together. They're showing me two plates stacked one on top of another. They were separate. They were like this, and then they stack up. Two plates together. Maybe even eating together, dining together, the wealth of connection, community, or family. Or a powerful relationship that's meant to stand the test of time, that is going through a particularly testing phase at the moment, because it's part of this growth pattern. Okay, I think that's everything. I'm going to leave the reading here. I hope it was helpful and that it reached you at the exact right time, as Spirit tends to do with divine timing and divine order principles. So take what resonates and leave the rest. This was more of a general and yet specific reading. And we'll get back to the flow of natural readings as I'm called to do so. Thank you to Spirit for providing these messages and for helping me to communicate them and translate them to you. And thank you to you, the viewer, for supporting the exchange, because again, it takes two to tango. I can't just speak into the void. I'm speaking to you who is meant to hear the message. Otherwise, it would make my job completely purposeless in a sense. So thank you for giving this to me as a gift. If you'd like to support my work here, you can like the video, share it with a friend. You can stick around for more to come by subscribing. You can become a member here on the channel and get access to the additional members-only content. We do 4 extra readings a month, including the upcoming month ahead reading, which will be posted this weekend. And we also have the highest tier live stream coming up next week as well, where we do general messages and personal readings too. And if you want a personal reading with me or a private reading with me, it's filmed in this kind of a format where it's top down. It's a video sent out to you. I do have a sale on until the end of September. So if you want to jump on that, now's the time. It's 30% off with the code ECLIPSE, all caps, ECLIPSE, at checkout to get that 30% off discount on the 20-minute reading, which gives you the access to one question and free reign on what Spirit wants to say to you in that 20 minutes. So I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys as we go forward here in new and profound ways, as aligned with the highest divine calling of Spirit and our trajectory of personal, and I'm hearing professional as well. Okay, something about professional ascension. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye.